Community, Webinar 1. If you would please just type in a hello so we know you're here with us. We have you muted so that we can eliminate background noise. But if you type in, hey from wherever you are and who you are, and important in this piece is please let us know if you have a colleague with you so we can make sure their attendance is noted as well. This is our webinar focusing on classroom environment. We're calling this Start Strong, Stay Strong. We know you started strong, and now we're going to talk about how we can keep those routines and procedures going strong for the rest of the year. A little comic to get us started since we've all been there, terrified of what's going on in that room. And just to let you know who these voices are you'll be hearing, I am Kathy Schick. If my name is appearing to you, it might be appearing as Hans Meter, and there are a few little glitches on GoToWebinar if you're using a Mac, and I am using a Mac, so I can't change my screen identity. So trust me, I am not Hans. I am Kathy, and I'm one of the facilitators for the BCTE PLC program. I'm with Meter Consulting right now, but I am on leave from Lehigh Career and Technical Institute. And I know one of my coworkers, Pat Maley, is out there. So how you doing, Pat? I miss you. And with me also is Jennifer Grams. Jennifer, do you want to say hello?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
And Molly Shapiro is not with us this afternoon. She stepped out. But we do have a very special guest. Tracy Stetler is with us from Reading-Muhlenberg, and I will introduce Tracy in just a moment. So we want to make sure that you can hear us. We cannot hear you by design, but you are able to communicate with us in two ways: by typing in. Jennifer is going to be monitoring the questions that you enter, and she will respond to you. So if you're having any issues with tech, please let Jennifer know. And then remember, you also have a hand you can raise. So at any time, if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, just raise your hand and we will unmute you so that you can join in the discussion. Our agenda for this afternoon, we do have to do a little bit of work, a little bit of brainstorming for Dr. Lee Burkett, who is the Director of the Bureau of Career and Technical Education. She has a request of you. And then we will get into the heart of our discussion for today, classroom environment and management. And we recognize that for many of you who have been teaching a while, this is not a new topic. This is not something that maybe you even feel uneasy with. But I would hope you would agree with us that it's a constantly evolving area of education that needs attention, because our kids are different every year, and things that we're doing are different every year. So we do know that it's always important to kind of keep up with, how am I doing? Am I paying enough attention to my routines and procedures? So thank you for joining us for this topic today. At the end, Tracy's going to talk most of the webinar with us. At the end, I'll come back to you and we'll talk about just a very small and brief follow-up activity that we'd ask you to do on your own time. And then I have question and answer at the end, but as Tracy will confirm, we really would like to see your questions as the webinar goes along, so don't feel you have to wait until the end. Hey, there's Dr. Lee Burkett, and she's talking just to you at the microphone, and she's asking you, if you were to attend the PACTech conference in Lancaster this summer, what sessions would you like to attend? She wants to know your feedback. Jennifer is going to be capturing your comments, and she's looking for program specific. So is there any equipment that you are using in commercial art that you would like to see a representative from the company come in and speak? Is there any specific curriculum or textbook that you would like to have more information on? Or is there a particular piece of equipment you'd like to write a grant on? Or are there topics that are more universal, Common Core, or aligning, reading, writing, math, integration. So anyway, take a moment. Please type in your feedback, because if we don't get it from you, she will not get it. So this is your opportunity to have a pipeline to Dr. Burkett. Please type in what exactly you would like to see as a session offered at the conference this summer. Okay, and you can do that throughout the webinar, but we really would like to see that sooner rather than later. Whoa, okay, I went back way too far. Let's go back. I have a few pictures here to share, just to kind of get us in the mood and dip our toes in the water. These are just some photographs that were sent to me from LCTI. I thought these were a great way just to kind of roll into our conversation with routines and procedures. These are teachers that display last 5 in 5 and first 5 in 5. You probably have seen these, but it's just a very brief what you're doing in the first 5 minutes that you arrive, or what you're doing in the last 5 minutes before you leave. And teachers report a lot of success with these because it is an established routine, and it's reinforced all year, and it just becomes part of the everyday procedure. And then my third picture at the bottom is a teacher who religiously has right at the door an easel that says what you should be doing as soon as you come in. And I know you guys have a lot of great ideas too as we move forward today. Please feel free to just share your idea. If Tracy says something that sparks a memory for you, throw it out there for the rest of us to see. Okay, and now, without further ado, I am going to welcome Tracy Stetler. We're so glad she's with us. This morning's group really felt that they benefited a lot from Tracy's experience. Tracy started her career in culinary arts as an instructional assistant at Berks Career and Technology Center, and then she became a baking and pastry instructor for 12 years at Reading Muhlenberg, where she is right now. She's also a graduate of that program. She transitioned into the Literacy Integration Specialist position in 2011, so Tracy is a literacy coach, and she spends a lot of her time, majority of her time, helping program instructors incorporate reading, writing, speaking, listening, and thinking skills into theory lessons and performance criteria. And then she also she models the strategy, she shares technology that will enhance program content, and she also does work with classroom management, which is why we tapped into her expertise. She facilitates learning walks and also does some work with NOCTI. Well, she does it all. And I'm sure you'll agree that you'll learn from Tracy as well. So Tracy, I'm going to hand my screen over to you. Welcome, Tracy, and if everybody can just be patient for one moment while I give Tracy the opportunity to share her screen with you. And let me know, Tracy, when you are able to do that.
Can you see that?
I'm not.
Do you have it up?
Did you get it, Tracy?
I have it up.
Okay, Jennifer, are you able to see Tracy's screen?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. I'm not, but I have to probably exit out of mine. So, oh, now I got it. Okay. Thank you, Tracy. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. Well, my name is Tracy Stetler, like Kathy said, and I'm Literacy Integration Specialist at Reading Muhlenberg, and I was asked to help with this webinar to talk about classroom management. I'm going to be talking about 3 different areas that were identified when you met for the first PLC, I think in Penn State a few weeks ago. And those 3 areas that I think most of the people involved in that PLC would like to see would be routines and procedures, engaging learning environment, and positive relationships. So those are the 3 areas I'm going to focus on today. I'm going to take you through each area, and again, I welcome questions while I'm going on in case I go from routines to learning environments, and then we get a question about routines. I'd like the questions as we go. That way we're not backtracking or anything. So keep the questions coming, and I'll keep moving forward until we have some questions. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about routines and procedures. And these first few slides that I use are going to be overviews of the content I'm going to cover, and then I'm going to be showing some examples along the way. So I'm going to kind of do a little overview first, and then I'm going to show the examples that have to do with that section. So the first one is routines and procedures, and I'm going to talk a little bit about preparation and organization, how it's very, very important to know in advance what you're going to be doing, what the students will be doing for that given day or period of time. Being prepared for the lesson that you're going to cover for that day. Also, part of that preparation and organization is incorporating reading, writing, and math every day. This is something that our school is required to do, both AM and PM with all levels. In the AM, we have a level 1 and we have level 2, and in the AM we have level 1 and 2, and in the PM we have level 1 and level 3. So really our instructors incorporate literacy and numeracy into every lesson for every level every day. So in the case of a given day, it would be 2 theory lessons for level 1, 1 for level 2, and 1 for level 3. So 4 different times a day they are incorporating these skills into their, into their program, into their lessons, whether it be a theory lesson within the confines of a theory room or whether it be out in the lab area. Clear expectations, what you expect from your students and what your students will expect from you. This needs to be kind of laid out very clearly right in the beginning, especially in the beginning of a new school year. What helps with this, especially at our school, is we use a classmate grading system which has contract grading, and this tells the student exactly what will be expected of them for any given period of time, a quarter, half a quarter, whatever it will be, and how you are going to be assessing them, what you're expecting them to learn in that period, and it gives them the accountability piece that they need to cover this this lesson, this chunk of work within this period of time. So it puts the ownership on them. It gives them an idea of what's going to be expected, what they're going to be doing for that period of time, and students like that. Gaining their attention right off the bat when you pull them right in from the bus. Using things such as videos, a word, a vocabulary word or something from your program area, a math problem, a writing prompt, a picture, or a quote. There's an instructor here at Reading-Muhlenberg who every morning has a new quote up, and this is for his AM and PM students. When they come in, the quote is there, and they write it in their journal, along with a word of the day and a math problem too. But the quote is kind of unique to his program. He started doing this way back when he first started teaching, and he really likes it because the students write the quote, they discuss the quote, they write down what they think the quote means, what it means to maybe them, what it means, in general. They also talk about the person who said the quote, so they discuss that. So if it's Martin Luther King Jr., they talk about that person and the influence that that person has had. So not only is it kind of an attention getter for your students, it's also a way for them to learn beyond the scope of what's going on within your individual classroom. And I will show you some examples of those things in a minute. Different habits that the students should get into every day, being ready to go, their daily routine. At the beginning, Kathy talked about the 5s when you come in. writing your name, signing in, having your ID ready, getting your journal out, doing the things that you need to do to get ready for the day. And that includes yourself, you as a teacher, to have that word of the day ready, have that math problem ready, have the video queued up and ready to go. Be prepared so the students aren't waiting and there's downtime and time for them to get into other things. So having that routine down pat, the students like it. They know what to expect every day when they go in. That's not to say to do the same old every day. You could do a video one day, a writing prompt the next, a picture, whatever. This builds independence with the students. They know that they've got to do these things before they are ready to go, before you are ready to go. They're expected to be in their seat, have their journal ready to go. Maybe have their, I have a teacher here that has their students every day, right after they change, they have to sit down in their seat, they have to have their journal or their packet ready, they have to have their safety glasses, and they have to have their tool tags. If they don't have those things, they're not ready to go. So, this is another way of building and maintaining some responsibility for students, their own responsibility of what's expected of them in their class. This is an example of a daily reflection sheet. This is from health medical practice, but it can be used across the board. A lot of the teachers in our building use something of this nature, some sort of format like this. Some look different than others, and I'll show you a few. This is one. She has the student's name at the top, what did you learn today, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all along. She has spots for them to write what they did that day. And she's also here using words like trace, explain, analyze. These are part of 12 powerful words that we have posters in classrooms, and we talk to students about the 12 powerful words and instruct them on using the 12 powerful words because they are words that students will see on any standardized test. And I know my son's 11. He, when he was taking the PSSAs a few years ago in grade school, they were sending these sheets home. Here are the 12 powerful words, learn them. So it's happening way back in grade school already. But, it's still words that they're kind of sometimes unfamiliar with. So this particular instructor uses them as a way to get the students to write for that day. So for Monday, for example, she says, list in steps what you learned today. For Tuesday, explain how, who, what, when, why did you do that day. So she has them almost used as a prompt for writing what they did that day. Now the section where they write is also important because this is an area where you can have students, you should be having students write down what they did that day as it pertains to what they're covering in their task list so that they can be checked off on certain tasks. Think about the fact that you have maybe 20 or 30 kids in your class at one time, and you have to keep track of all these tasks that these students are covering. This is a good way to do that. I know I couldn't, in my head, when I was a program instructor, remember what every given student was doing on every given day. Everybody's doing something different. So this was a good way to keep track of that as well. And if students didn't write something down, the accountability was for them that if they don't write it down, I guess they're not going to get credit for it. So they need to, understand that they must write these things down. Some people use the time card format, kind of. You don't get paid with your grade if you don't write things down that you do. Vocabulary, there's a spot for the vocabulary for that day. That would be a program area word or an SAT word. And then there's a spot for a math problem. Some teachers actually have this sheet where they actually have their vocabulary already embedded in there. They have the math problem already embedded in for that given day. And it's tied to their theory lesson on a daily basis. So there are teachers who have things planned out that far in advance, that they've got a whole quarter's worth of these ready to go, so that there's no question about where they're going.
Tracy, could we take a few questions and comments?
Sure.
Okay, Teresa asked if we could put a copy of this form or make it available, and I neglected to say this, Teresa, and I apologize, but Tracy has graciously agreed to let us share this PowerPoint presentation with you. So everyone, you'll be receiving an email follow-up, and it will include Tracy's PowerPoint, so this will be there. So Teresa, I think that's what you were asking. If that's not, please help me figure out what exactly you meant. And Nicole, I'm going to unmute you. Oh, thanks Teresa. Thanks for letting me know that was what you were looking for. I'm going to unmute Nicole because she has, I'd like her to share briefly her 10 to Bell. And Nicole also, just in the interest of time, I think I'll just share this real quickly for you, Nicole, your other point about journaling. And that was that not worrying about that journaling is a writing prompt. It's focus-free to write. You're not looking to correct grammar, punctuation, or spelling. And I couldn't agree with you more. I'm a reading specialist, and that is just so important that kids aren't always worried about being graded, aren't always worried about that red pen. And it's also wonderful for the teacher because you just can't grade everything for everything. If you've ever read the book, Never Work Harder Than Your Students, this is one of those areas where, you don't have to grade everything. Now, Nicole, I'm going to go ahead, if you're okay with this, I hope you are, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Nicole, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, I wonder if that was from your end.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I heard a lot of feedback, but I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay. Hey, Nicole, thanks for your comment. Would you briefly share with us your 10 to Bell?
Yeah, we had an initiative that we had to do here at Eastern, and it was a lot of different writing and kind of implementing some of the MAC strategies. A bunch of years ago, we were doing 10 to Bell, where we were doing some journaling and goal setting. And just in the last couple of years, we moved over to an electronic way of doing it. So we previously had a form like you had up on screen before that was really just students filling it out. For me, it got really cumbersome because I have 60 plus students between AM and PM, so it was just a lot of paperwork. And now we do it electronically. So the students do the focus-free write, just as you said, no grading any kind of grammar, punctuation. It's really just to get their thoughts down and seeing what they're thinking about the writing prompt. And the writing prompt can be anything. It doesn't have to be related to commercial art. It might be asking the students if they feel people over the age of 50 should have to retake their driver's license. It could be something as simple as...
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yep, we try to get them to think about it. We tell them, us old people over the age of 30, because to them, we're all really old. But it might also be something relative to like testing makeup on animals. And then we have sometimes, depending on the, how argumentative some of the students feel about it, we might have discussions about it later. But it's, for me, doing electronically, it's been a blessing because I literally can just log into a Gmail account I've set up. All the journaling goes right there. I can glance at any time, see who's doing it, how well they're doing it, and even pull some writing samples off to discuss in class. So it works really well for the literacy strategy, as well as goal setting and self-assessment. It has all that in there, but for me, it's been a blessing to have it electronically rather than all those papers to grade. So it's worked well.
Nicole, you had mentioned in your question that you could send me a screenshot.
Yeah.
Can you? I'm going to ask Jennifer, would you be able to just quickly reply to Nicole with your or my email? And then I'll make sure I include that screenshot in the email that I send out to everyone tonight.
Sure.
Does that sound good?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, thanks, Nicole. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. I apologize. I know that seems rude to do that, but I'm going to mute you. And Teresa, I'm unmuting you.
Yes. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Do you have a question for it?
No, just that one about the form. That was
okay.
it.
I'm going to go ahead and put you back in mute.
Thank you.
Okay, and we also have from Darcy, this looks really interesting to me. Darcy shared, she uses a great tool, Caffeine for the Creative Mind. It's a creative prompt book that includes writing, drawing, designing. You can use it daily or weekly. It also sparks, daily sparks. They come in a variety of topics. That's Caffeine for the Creative Mind. And Darcy, if you have anything more to say that you'd like to be unmuted, just type in and let me know that you have more to add. Okay? All right, and we're going to go right back now to Tracy. Thanks, Tracy.
Okay, very good. And I was talking to Steve a little bit, and I know he uses Google for his students' reflections as well. So that's a tool that definitely is out there that instructors are using. This is an example of another journal entry sheet. This would be a page a day. This is, as opposed to the one we just looked at, which was a whole week. This would be a page every day, and there's, of course, room for the name at the top and the auto body word of the day. And this could be a tool of the day. I know we have a new auto body instructor, and he, really wants to focus a lot on tools, so it could be a tool of the day. Define. Some of them have use the tool in a sentence, or use the word in a sentence. Then at the bottom, the SAT word of the day, and I put words on the screen, and I'll show you that and share it with the instructors, and they get that word from there and have the students define that. And then at the end of the week or at the end of a 2-week period, there are games that can be created, or I help my instructors create games to review some of these words, review the SAT words, review the auto body or program area words. And then at the bottom, there's math problem, and that's related to the program area. And this is what is most important to me and the instructors here in this building, is that these words, the word of the day from their program area and the math problem of the day, are really very strongly program related, very on topic. Go with what they're covering at that given time. It's not a random tool that they're only going to use, in their senior year, and now they're learning about it now. It's a tool they're going to use right away. It's a word they're going to be, expected to know right away. A math problem that's relevant to what they're covering that, given time. So that's kind of the way the teachers in this building like to do things, and I can appreciate that coming from being an instructor, that, I know that things need to be timely and, done that way, and the students appreciate it as well. So that's another example of a journal entry sheet that's a daily sheet. This is an example of a program area booklet. We call them booklets or packets. They're titled here Journal. This is from Motorcycle, Marine, and Small Engine, and there are quite a few instructors in the building using this format. What it is, it's a packet of information that's given to the students. It's information that they actually will use the entire week, and the completed book is worth 100 points, so it's 20 points a day. So the students understand very quickly that if they don't complete some of the things in this packet, that their grade starts to, kind of take a tumble. So, it's a packet that is relevant to what they're doing and what is being covered in that theory lesson for that given day or week. This one happens to be tied to the textbook. It can be tied to your, task list or, learning guides, whatever. But this is a Level 2 journal, a Chapter 6, and this is Motorcycle Book 1. Chapter 6 is probably extensive, so he's going to have more than one book for that chapter. So it just depends on the length of your chapter. I know Electrical does this, and he sometimes has 3 or 4 of these packets per chapter because his chapters are so extensive. So it can be customized however you need it to be. This would be an example of one of the pages. So there would be 5 pages exactly like this, not exactly the same. It would be the same format, but words would change every day. The writing prompt, the paragraph of the day would change every day, and the math problem would change every day. And these would all be connected to the theory lesson that's given that day. So, for example, this one says day 1, and the reason we did day 1, we did start out with the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday kind of format, but the problem is sometimes you end in the middle of the week, or you have a day or 2 off during the week, and then your days get kind of mixed up. So it becomes easier for us to do day 1, and each section is worth a certain number of points. This section is worth 5 points, and this would be MME word of the day, chain drive, define, and then use the word in the sentence. And then the math problem of the day is tied to the theory lesson as well. So in this case, we're talking about pistons and the clearance between a piston and a cylinder. And then on the right side, there's a room for the paragraph of the day, which is explain the operating principles of a 4-stroke engine. So It's all tied to what's going on in that given day, in that given theory lesson. So the premise is that the students come in, they get their packets, they sit down, they have their, this is the program area that requires their be in full uniform. They have their own T-shirts that they created, and that's something we'll talk about a little bit later about student ownership in the classroom. They put on, their work shirts, which are, say, motorcycle, marine, small engine, which the students designed, and they have their work boots on, they have their glasses, they have tool tags, and they must have these things in order to get going for the day. So it's that accountability piece, and this is the part that creates the literacy and numeracy, the reading, the writing every day. In our school, we have TVs in all the rooms, and there are slides that are shown every day. This happens to be the word of the day that's put up every day. This is something that I create and put up every day. I also send these to a number of teachers who want them to be sent to them electronically, and they will put them on their smart board or their projected board every day, or they print them out and put them up on the board. So this is the way we use this type of word of the day. An instructor could also do this for their program word of the day if they choose to do that. So it can be used that way. This is Math Mania. This is done by our math coach. We're lucky enough to have a wonderful math coach here at the school, and every week she does something called Math Mania, and it's usually tied to a topic or something that's going on that given time. So at this point it was Halloween, and she did Pumpkin Mania, and this is also shown on the screens in the TVs, on the TVs in the rooms, and this can be done individually. A student can submit to Math Mania every week if they choose to, or some program areas do it as a whole class. Every student does their own Math Mania in the entire class, and they're all handed in at once as a packet. This is a good opportunity for a student to get up and teach a lesson. They can use this as a way to show other students how to solve a math problem. If most of the students in the class are getting stumped by this, and there's a student who really took off and knows exactly how to do this math problem, this happens to be one of the more simpler ones that she's put up. There have been some very difficult ones in the past. It just depends what the topic is. But she always ties it to our school. She'll use student names. Here she says students at RMCTC, but sometimes if it's talking about the motorcycle shop, she'll mention a student's name and say, so-and-so did this and needs this for his motorcycle or whatever. So it's really customized nicely for the students, and it makes them feel like they're, here as a team and everything, and that somebody's thinking about them when they're putting this together. But this is a good opportunity for students to be able to teach other students a math, concept. I know that happened in baking occasionally. I would have a math problem that I would show the students how to solve, and another student would say, hey, I know another way to solve that, maybe using an algebra equation or something, and they'd get up and they'd do it. And some students found that way easier. Some students found the way I showed easier. So it was whatever worked. I certainly, didn't care if another student knew another way and could do it, and I wasn't familiar with that way. That was fine with me. I thought that was wonderful that another student could, show another way of doing things with the math. So that's Math Mania. Another thing that you could incorporate is a tool of the week. So this happens to be a mat cutter,
I'm sorry,
I believe.
Tracy.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was muted. I've been talking to you, and I had myself muted. This is Kathy. But could we could we field a question or two before you move on to Tool of the Week?
Sure.
I have both Darcy and Nicole have some comments that I'm going to take Nicole's first because I think it will be the briefest. And Nicole said that was a really nice packet. Do they work together on any of the packet? For example, if they don't know how to resolve the math problem, do they help each other? Which I think you probably kind of just answered in the Math Mania.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, they do.
And Nicole, let me know if you would like to be unmuted to follow up to that. I am going to read Darcy's comment, and I think we'd like to hear, everyone might have okay, thanks, Nicole. Everyone might have some advice for Darcy. I love the way she started. Am I the only one? That's how she started. Don't we all feel that way sometimes? Am I the only one? I have done daily journaling. Much of the curriculum is done within our task sheets, which include reading, writing, and math. My students just got tired of the daily repetition of it all. I would post a daily vocab, math, and list 3 things you know about, whatever. Some would do it, and some would do bare minimum. We would review at the end of the week, and they could earn a supply ticket, which they could use for a chance to win art supplies. How can I get kids excited about this? So, yeah, I hear you, and I've seen this. I've seen teachers some years just have kids that they just have more trouble motivating for this kind of routine, this daily journaling. One thing I'm going to just toss into the mix is something that Nicole has said earlier. Maybe some of your prompts for your daily journaling could be, and maybe they were, but maybe focus on to start some very fun and what seem like irrelevant prompts, like that horrible one about should people over 50 have to retake their driver's license. I'm laughing because I'm staring that birthday in the eye and I just taught my son how to drive. But anyway, that would be my suggestion. If you have another suggestion for Darcy on how to get kids, we talk about routines. What do we do when kids are bored with the routine?
I have a suggestion that someone actually posed me the same question to me, and this did help. Now, whether this will help you or not, I'm not sure, but I have the students sometimes choose the words. So, they're looking up words and finding a word of the day that relates to that chapter or that given, learning guide, concept, whatever. So the students are taking ownership and finding the words to use. The students are deciding what the writing prompt is going to be. And of course with your guidance and, you checking, but, if they see something that they think is a compelling or an interesting topic to them in the newspaper, maybe it can be posed to the class. So, that's a way to maybe get them a little more involved in, the process.
Yeah, I love the idea of current events that are somewhat, controversial or that you could take a position on. That always,
yeah.
If you have kids write, do an open writing prompt in response to a current, why did you share with your group? Danielle is sharing.
A controversial topic is always really good because it gets students, thinking and talking and arguing, not arguing badly, but arguing in a good way,
right,
arguing
right.
their point. One example would be in a couple of classrooms I did an article on whether students should still be taught handwriting. And, that really sparked a lot of, interesting debate, about the whole thing, like just, down in history, who's going to be able to read text if they can't write it, and all this kind of stuff. So, it opened up a whole big kind of can of worms, which was a lot of fun, and whether they're sisters or brothers, little sisters or brothers are learning how to, handwriting and things like that. So those topics are really good sparking conversation.
Yeah, and Nicole just said, my guys like to argue their points, so I know it sounds stupid, but use those things they feel passionate about. I agree. Danielle Wilbur said she has over 100 prompts. She will email if anyone is interested. Wow, Danielle.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm going to ask Jen if maybe she'll connect with you. If you don't mind sharing those, again, if it's okay with the group, I will attach those also to the email that I send out. And
yeah, I would like those as well.
Okay, absolutely. And Darcy did say, her self-motivated kids are never the problem, and she said that's why I started using the creative prompts. Kim said Candy works. It has always worked on me, I will tell you that. And Nicole said, my guys like to be heard. Some are more quick to jump and share, but we share in pairs, or sometimes in front of all, first years or even the whole class. Yeah, I love the turn and talk. So after you write your prompt, you respond in writing, then turn and talk to a neighbor. You're right, kids do want to be heard, especially if it's an opinion piece. So You know, I guess, Darcy, what we're all saying is, and you know this, and I really appreciate you bringing this up because it's true. Some kids are just hard to motivate, but we keep chipping away at it with the most engaging prompts and the least amount of, you know, accountability, not being checked for grammar or that kind of thing. It sounds like Darcy did have some sort of incentive with the supplies, the supply tickets. I'm not sure why that wasn't working as well. But we'll share these, Danielle, thanks. We'll share these. Oops, Danielle's hand is raised now. Yay. Danielle, should I unmute you? I'm going to. Danielle,
Sure.
you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
We can. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, Danielle.
Hi. I'm not quite sure how I'm raising my hand in here, but okay. I was just going to say that it's required for us here. They have to have a writing journal every morning. It's actually graded by our principal. So not only do we have to give students a grade, but our principal is grading the teachers. So I have the whole entire first quarter. I have all my prompts in a Word document, so if anybody's interested, I can send that. And we are going after different things. So for first quarter, they had to have a correct topic sentence. For this quarter, they have to have a correct topic sentence, plus they have to have 5 to 7 full sentences, and spelling and grammar have become part of the mix. So some of my questions do pertain to art and design. I got a little creative this quarter, and I looked up some what happened on this date back in history 100 years ago. So now I'm kind of throwing everything in there. And as far as motivation goes, they know that they're not allowed to move on with their day until their writing prompts are complete. They've been graded because we peer grade, and we've had at least a 3-minute discussion on the writing prompt. So, if you stick with it, I'm sure, you're still going to have those couple that, that want to do bad things. But most of the time, my other students are yelling at the ones that want to mess around. They're saying, listen, we want to get on with our day. We have a lot to get done. So do you mind if we just get through this? And I've been able to wrap up everything within 15 minutes in the morning.
Great. Oh, that's great.
Are you still there?
I am.
Yeah, so that's like how we do it.
Thanks
and
for
it's
sharing.
mandatory. No problem. And if anybody wants those, I can email them.
I was just going to say, Jennifer, are you on? I know you're muted right now, but Jennifer, could you connect with Danielle?
Yes. Hi, Danielle. I sent you Kathy's email address, so if you wouldn't mind sending an email attachment to her, we'll make sure that it gets out to everybody.
Awesome. Now, I can't do that right now because I'm on a PC in my office and everything's on my Mac in my classroom.
No problem. I will wait till tomorrow to send the email out to the group, so no hurry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. And
no problem.
And I think, Darcy, I think it was your idea to use the supply ticket, and Nicole, I just want to share she loved your idea and she's totally stealing it. So great. That's what we're doing here, sharing ideas. Okay, I'm going to mute Danielle, and I love, by the way, when Danielle said, can you still hear me? It's very bizarre when you're talking on a webinar because you really can't tell if anyone is still with you. I often think I'm talking to an empty room. Okay, so go ahead, Tracy. We'll go back to you and Tool of the Week.
Okay. I'm really glad for all these questions and comments. It's a lot different than it was this morning.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So Tool of the Week, sorry, I went ahead a little bit. Tool of the Week, this is another one of those routines you can get into by, highlighting a tool that the students are going to be using that week. What is it? What's it used for? What are the safety precautions? So that's just another way to get them into a routine and show a tool that's, a prominent piece of your program area. These would be some examples, maybe some pictures that would be put up as attention-getting ways when your students come in. These are some ways that Photoshop is used. We see Tom Cruise, Angelina Jolie. We have the hamster lion or whatever it is, and how teeth get whitened and things like that. So it's to spark conversation when the students arrive, maybe give them some sort of a writing prompt to go with an image. So it's just there to spark some interest and get some creative juices flowing. This is actually from our commercial art program from Steve Simons. He does an article report. He does this periodically during the quarter, and these are his guidelines for that. And he uses that as a way to grade students and to get them to do reading and writing. So he uses the magazine. This also gets tossed in with my reading program that I have as a literacy coach. So the students are not only getting points from him, in a grade, they also get some points from me and possibility to get prizes and things like that through the program I have, which is a reading program that has students reading articles and books and things. So this is something that he does to incorporate literacy into his program. Nocti Monday, this would be an example of another routine that you can get into. Now our students are work-based learning students come in every Monday for check-in, so that means all your seniors, if they're not absent, would be there on a Monday and would be available for you to cover any kind of Nocti review for that week. So that's why we call it Nocti Monday. And here's some examples of some questions: the saturation of a color, and one would be a math-related problem as well. So you could have one of each up, a math problem and a content problem that they can solve. And they would write these down, have them in their journals, and that way it can be something they can refer back to and study from during the week up until the Nocti. Another thing you can do is put up maybe a scenario for them to do as a hands-on part of the performance Nocti. So have them kind of go through the motions of the real Nocti by maybe not using the same exact thing they would be doing in the Nocti, but put them through a scenario that would be very similar to what they're going to have to do in the Nocti as far as the performance part. And that can be used as part of that as well. Engaging learning environment. I'm going to keep going if that's okay, Kathy.
One thing. Darcy said, we do the Photoshop avatar. I never thought of using it as a prompt. Thank you. And Danielle said, excellent. Thanks for the feedback, guys. This is great to have discussion, virtual discussion. Okay, go ahead, Tracy.
Okay, so engaging learning environment. So some things that are part of that would be materials. Having those materials ready to go. If you're going to have a theory lesson, have your materials ready. Have everything ready. Plan ahead and have it available for the students when they walk in. And that not only includes the materials for the students, but the materials that you're going to be using as part of your lesson for that day. So that could be those images up on the board, or at least minimized until you get other things done, and then up it comes and it's ready to go. Lab setup. This is something that your occupational advisory committee can help you with. Setting up your lab in a way that's conducive for learning. Setting up your lab in a way that is indicative of business and industry. So this is where your OAC can really be a big help here. Having them come and do walkthroughs and giving you suggestions on setup. Another way of having a good engaged learning environment is by engaging the students. And doing that, you need to know their learning styles and performing a learning style assessment. We do this every year with all the students, because most students want to do it again, even though they've already done it in their 11th or 10th grade year. And when they're in 11th and 12th grade, they still want to do it and they want to take it. So we do this. It's done online, and I'll show you an example of that in a second. But it's done online at this school. We used to do a pen and paper one, and it was very time-consuming to, grade and assess. So this is what we do with this now. We use the Learning Resource Room and have students come up and do questions there, and this gives them, the teachers, the idea of what their learning style is of the students, and I'll cover that in a second. Grouping students, having different seating arrangements, and color coding. So learning how to group students, how to give students roles in the group, like such as a timekeeper when you're doing things as group activities, or having a group leader that kind of, sets the stage for what's going to happen with the rest of the students. So, that's a good part of learning environment, getting those kids to collaborate together, just like we talked about with the prompts and the journal writing. Seating arrangement, not only changing their seating arrangements, but how they're grouped in an arrangement, arranging the seats themselves and the tables. Just changing that sometimes will, create, some sort of, chaos in a good way. Color coding things. The new baking instructor, she has these tubs, and they're all color coded. And if you're the blue group, you get a blue tub, and everything in the tub is blue, so that she can gauge who is, handing things in, who's getting things done, who's working on this, and who's working on that, because that blue stuff is gone. The blue folder's gone, the blue pens are gone, the blue, textbook she has wrapped in a blue paper. So, it's all there. It's in a big bin, and the students take the bin, put it at their table, and they're ready to go with everything. So that's part of that planning ahead and keeping kids on their toes about things. Bulletin boards, word walls, wordles, other visuals, things like that. Having the students get involved with these bulletin boards. You don't have to be the one creating and putting up all these bulletin boards. Have the students help you do this, because they love doing this stuff. I know the students, almost every student in every program I go into loves doing. You'll find a few that will love doing this, at least a few. And the ones that don't like it eventually want to get involved, because everybody else is getting involved in it. And it can be as simple as putting words up, and I'll show you some examples of that with the bulletin boards. Just creating this learning environment where it's exciting. Student mentors. Student mentors are important. It gives, again, it shows students some ownership, some responsibility. Having this constantly changing. There's always students that are good at something. Find students that are good at something and have them, teach a lesson, have them help another student that's struggling. Use them to their advantage, and it makes them feel good. It makes you feel good. Everybody's happy. It really makes a good, environment of team in your class. Student responsibility, their input, doing things like creating a shop for person. But not only creating the shop for person and saying you're the shop for person, but also teaching a student how to be have that leadership role. Teaching a student essentially how to be a boss, how to get things done, how to delegate, how to speak to students in a way that gets them to get the job done, in a respectful manner. No one wants to be yelled at. So, just teaching students how to, those people skills, as it relates to being a professional. Development of rules, having students help you develop your classroom rules. Having them develop posters that have the rules on them. This was done in a couple different classrooms. They broke up into groups. They wrote down what rules they thought, should be in the classroom, what the penalty should be, maybe a certain number of points taken off, maybe a field trip, not, whatever. And then they got together as one big group and whittled everything down. It was kind of like Survivor. And they picked the 10 most, important rules for that program area, and they created a poster. And it's a good visual for every student walking into that program. Look, if I don't have this, I'm going to lose a point. If I, swear in here, that's worth how many points? And these are things that the students decided on. We shouldn't be swearing. We should have our uniforms on. We should be ready to go. All those things. The same can be done with safety posters. Students can be broken into groups and create different safety posters. It really adds to the atmosphere of your classroom. They're all student-generated. Maybe a poster that has to do with a piece of equipment, the importance of doing this and this and this before you use this piece of equipment. So it's all, about getting the students engaged and giving them some responsibility and getting them, to understand what's involved with their program area and really taking ownership.
Tracy, I'm going to jump in for a minute. We have had some great discussion, and that's what this is all about. So we're thrilled with that. But it has taken our time, so we're going to have to watch our time a little bit more carefully as we move forward. But I do want to share that Teresa said that instead of having a word wall, her words are hanging from the ceiling. That's really clever.
Yes.
I started my years in elementary school, and boy, we always had stuff hanging from the ceiling. And I also want to share my good friend Pat Maley is we're having some problems with his ability to be unmuted. So Pat, I'm just going to take a risk here, and I'm going to speak for you. I know Pat had some problems with space and getting a word wall in, and he didn't keep this, but thanks for giving me permission, Pat. He didn't keep this, but he did do it for a short time. He had a big window in the back, like literally like a floor-to-ceiling window, and he used dry erase markers, and he wrote his word wall on that. So that was another idea. So we really have to be creative with our space. I know people who have their door is magnetic, so they put the little magnets on the back of their word walls, and they put them on the door or whatever's magnetic until they swap them out for another unit. Okay, and Danielle said her audio is going in and out a little bit, but she thinks it's her connection. So if anyone else is having trouble with hearing me, please let us know. Okay, I think I addressed everything. Pat, Nicole said that's awesome that you're writing on, well, you guys have the most creative classrooms, the commercial art people. Okay, so Tracy, we're going to go back to you, but we have about 4 minutes. Okay?
Okay. This is the visual auditory kinesthetic website is at the bottom. So if everybody gets the PowerPoint, they can see that, and it's very quick and easy. It's about 25, 30 questions the students answer, and you get an idea of what their learning style is, and it creates some good conversation with the students. So this would be an example of a word wall. These are some words that were sent to me by Steve Simons, our commercial art teacher. So you could have the pictures up first and have them put the words with the pictures, or vice versa, whatever. So it can be used in a lot of different ways, and we talked a little bit about that. You guys are very creative. This is a Wordle. So students can make these. You can make them. I think everybody probably is familiar with them. It's a program online. Just Google Wordle. You'll find it. Basically, the larger the words, it means you've typed them in more often. So if you want advertising to be really big, you type that in 4 or 5 times. That will be big. Photography will be smaller because you only typed it once or twice. So you kind of get the idea there. And the students can create these, and this gives them a really neat way of, this could be a good wrap-up for the 5 or, maybe a week or 2 weeks worth of words that they covered, that they could create their own Wordle with this. There's all kinds of colors and backgrounds and themes and all kinds of stuff, so it makes it really fun. Positive relationships. I'm going to go through this really quickly, just showing that genuine interest and caring about students' success. This really will create a classroom where, learning is going to happen. Students feel comfortable. We all wear a lot of hats, which I'll show you too in a second. And, it really creates a classroom where there's less discipline issues. If the students know that you're really interested in their success. The relationship with parents. Who can go on and on about that. It's, of the utmost importance, not only for good, not only for bad, but good as well. Teamwork, doing team building activities, getting to know you activities. If you want to email me, I have a lot of get to know you activities. I have personality profiles, pig profiles, all about me boards. A lot of teachers do a weekend summary, so on a Monday they will talk to their students, sit for 10 minutes and chat about what happened during their weekend, if they play sports, this and that. It's just a way of really developing that positive relationship with your students. This is an example of a profile board. This was done in PowerPoint. So then these are posted in classrooms, and not everybody does them this way. Some do them with the old-fashioned cut out pictures and paste them on a poster board, but this is done in PowerPoint. And actually the teacher who does this is teaches machining. And as his students obtain NIM certifications, he will actually paste them up around the student's picture. Every time they get a NIM certification, he takes the little symbol and cuts it out and puts it there. And it really shows what students are, really going along with their certifications. And it kind of creates this little bit of competition in his classroom, which is kind of neat. So he has it different ways. It's good for a sub. It's good to get kids talking about what their favorite things are. This is another example. And then this is a book. I'm not here to tout a book, but this does have some really great ideas for, getting students, a lot of what I covered today had to do with some of the things I've seen in this book. If you want the book, Richard Steinmeier. His email is down there on the bottom. But the very first habit of success is building and maintaining a positive relationship with your students. And that is what needs to come first, or you won't kind of get anything else from it. So, you know, organizing, developing strong reading, writing, math, it's all in there. And why do we do these things? Well, here's our multiple, you know, tons and tons of hats that we wear. This is just a short list. Educator, you know, role model. We want to model, you know, good behavior, good professionalism for our students, guidance, career counselor, a mentor, a nurse. You know, I got many a Band-Aid out for a kid, and inspector, inspecting their work, an advisor, maybe even a CTSO advisor, coach, and then I found that little bag on the bottom there that has all the different roles of a teacher, engineer, actor. I used to act out some things with students to kind of show dealing with irate customers and things like that. We'd do role playing and act out things like that, so that was always fun. Photographer, I went around today and took some pictures of students to do some profiles and things. So, you know, there are multiple roles, and this is, you know, why we do all these things. And that concludes my portion. And I do appreciate everybody's comments and questions. This was really a totally different group than what we had this morning, and I love it.
Yeah, this is our creative group, I have to say. I'm not a bit surprised that we had good interaction with this group. And if you'll all just be patient with me for a moment, I'm going to change screens. Thank you so much, Tracy. We've been getting very nice feedback. I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask, but now that you all know my age, you probably can figure out why I'm having trouble. Okay, let's see. From current slide. Okay, so we welcomed Tracy. Thank you so much. Yay, another Mac user. Yes, Danielle, I am a new Mac user, and I'm still struggling a little bit. Nicole, I'm going to read your comment without pre-reading it, so let me read it. Here we go. One of the strategies for fostering strong teamwork and personal activity skills, are we posting ideas or samples on the SAS website, or are you going to compile a share folder? I'm willing to share all my stuff, would love some fresh ideas from others. Yeah, thanks, Nicole. That's a good point. I don't even know if this is the point you were trying to make, but I'll make it. We want to hear from all of you so that everyone can share and learn from each other. I am posting everything that is sent to me in the PowerPoints will all be posted on the SAS community. I will say there's not a whole lot of people joining the SAS community, but we will do our part to make sure everything's posted there. Also, anything that's sent to me, and I'll send an email to all of you, let's say tomorrow evening. So if by the end of the school day tomorrow you have anything you'd like to share, like I think Danielle had the prompts and Nicole had the screenshot, anything you want me to share, just send to me by the end of the school day tomorrow, and then tomorrow evening I'll send everyone an email with all your ideas. And feel free to include snapshots, pictures, or anything. And thank you. Some really great, do you have the time to show us one more time where to go? I'm a bit lost over SAS. Okay, that's a great idea, Nicole. I'll quickly show you, let me check my time, and I'll quickly show you SAS one more time. I'm going to quickly finish this. This is a follow-up from today that will also be included, attached to the email I send to you all. We were asked by Dr. Burkett to provide some sort of post-webinar piece, if you will. So this is the piece we're providing for this webinar. It is a self-assessment tool, and it's designed for you to just take a few quiet moments and reflect on your own practice, and then discern where your strengths are and where you may need to improve. And then that could be a springboard to have a conversation with your administrator or a coach or a peer. And this piece that I put together, the self-assessment piece, I pulled from the Charlotte Danielson evaluation tool. So why do double work, right? We're all going to have to use that new evaluation tool, so it's pulled from that. I went through that rather quickly, but I think you'll see what I mean when you get that email. And I just want to make sure that I have time to share this quote. This is my all-time favorite quote. I've been in education for over 20 years, and I've used this quote with parents and at workshops, and I think this says it all, and I would like to read it to you. Thinking about your classroom and your classroom environment, I've come to a frightening conclusion. I am the decisive element in the classroom. It's my personal approach that creates the climate. It's my daily mood that makes the weather. As a teacher, I possess a tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and a child humanized or dehumanized. And I love that quote both as a teacher but also as a parent. If you're a parent of school-age children, you know the impact that your children's teachers have not only on them but on your home life. When a child is unhappy in school and feels dehumanized at school or humiliated at school, we feel it at home as well. So thank you so much for indulging me in that quote. Our email is here if you want to grab that quickly, but you will be getting an email from me. And if there aren't any other, just looking, oh, thanks, I'm glad you like the quote. I'll be happy to send it out. I'm going to go ahead and exit this screen and go into SAS and just spend one quick minute. Keep your questions coming or your comments or any information for Dr. Burkett for the workshop. And